the deeds also will follow. True or not? What do we feel in Ramadan? Shooting up Iman, right? We feel that in Ramadan. On Eid day, everything drops sharp, drastically. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه ومن اتبع هداه إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, chapter number 20, the condemnation of the one who worships Allah at the grave of a righteous man, and how then does this amount to worship of the man. So the author, rahimahullah, by writing this title, is telling us that worshipping Allah at the grave of a holy man, saint, wali, is not permissible, though you are worshipping Allah. Because that will lead to the shirk. And that man will be worshipped. The moment you start asking him, you start worshipping him. Because asking a dead person is a great sin. It's shirk. Because you are supposed only to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for your needs. Or you can ask a human being who is able to help. You can say to someone alive, help me. No problem. Are you following? But to ask a dead person to help you who is helpless doesn't make any sense. Unless you believe that though he is dead, he can help you. In that case, you are acting to the contrary of what Allah has said. Because Allah said that they cannot help you. And you are saying, they will help me. Are you following? So this chapter is dedicated to this matter. In the Sahih, رضي الله عنها, reported أن أم سلمة ذكرت لرسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم كنيسة رأتها بأرض الحبشة وما فيها من الصور، فقال أولئك إذا مات فيهم الرجل الصالح أو العبد الصالح بنوا على قبره مسجدا وصوروا فيه تلك الصور، أولئك شرار الخلق عند الله، فهؤلاء جمعوا بين فتنتين، فتنة القبور وفتنة التماثيل. Salama mentioned to Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam that in Abyssinia, you know Abyssinia, Ethiopia today, that in Abyssinia she saw a church full of pictures and statues. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when a righteous man or a pious worshipper among them dies, they build a place of worship over his grave and set up all kinds of pictures and statues. They are the worst of all creatures before Allah. They combine the two evils, worshipping at the graves and making graven images and statues. Radiallahu anha, because she made hijrah with the Muslims in the beginning to Abyssinia. And when he found that the mushriks in Mecca were oppressing the Muslims and torturing them, so he told the Muslims to migrate to Abyssinia. And he told them there is a king there who's ruled justly, a just ruler, so go live in his country, you will be fine. Who was that king? Najashi. And this king became what? He became a Muslim. But he did not see the Prophet ﷺ. He did not see the Prophet ﷺ. So Salama was one of those who migrated to Abyssinia, and then she saw a church, and this church was full of pictures and statues. Mentioned this to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ said, those are the worst people among Allah's creation, those who made the images and pictures, because this is something lead to the shirk, and people started worshipping these images and statues, pictures and statues. So they are worshipping. He said they combine the two evils, worshipping the graves. They are worshipping the graves and making images. Two evils they combined together, which means it's not allowed for us to pray at the graves. And there are many in a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, don't pray to the graves, among the graves. Okay, so Muslims should not do that. But unfortunately, the Muslims today, in many Muslim countries, you find many masjids, they have graves inside, right? Though the ruling in the Sharia that if the masjid existed before the grave, we have to remove the grave from the masjid. We open the grave, take the body and bury the body in the graveyard. If the grave existed before the masjid, then we destroy the masjid. We demolish the masjid. This is an established hukum, ruling in the Sharia. Is this clear? Also, and the Sahaba, when it's going to come, the next hadith, inshallah. As here in the next hadith, Imam Bukhari said, not inside. Is it inside the masjid? Inside the masjid? Is it in the Qibla? That means when the people in the masjid, they will be facing it? Or it is behind? Yeah, in that case the salah is correct. The salah is correct. But it's not recommended even in that case. It's better. But it's not haram in that case. Because it is not inside. But if the graves around the masjid, surrounded by the graves. Sometimes they build masjid in the graveyard. So you don't pray in that masjid. So, yeah, tomb, yes, mausoleum. Also, Aisha radiallahu anha narrated, لما نزل برسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم طفق يطرح خميصة له على وجهه، فإذا اغتم بها كشفها فقال وهو كذلك: لعنة الله على اليهود والنصارى اتخذوا قبور أنبيائهم مساجدا، يحذر ما صنعوا، ولولا ذلك أبرز قبره غير أنه خشي أن يتخذ مسجدا. When the death, Aisha said, when the death approached Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he began to draw a piece of cloth, which is the bed sheet, over his face, sometimes covering and sometimes removing because of distress. He sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in this state, Allah's curse be upon the Jews and the Christians for taking the graves of their prophets